who's Executive Director at Lake Taylor's Transitional Care Hospital, and Heather Tuder, who is Marketing Director for the hospital. David is a local, and he's actually been in our club before. I remember, and I'm sure some of you do too. He's a grad of JMU, and one of the things I was able to share with him a while ago, or he was able to share with me, is that once again, that name Bill Pine continues to pop up. And he has some stories about Bill that I won't share here, but we all knew Bill and enjoyed him immensely. And he was at our bowl-a-thon when David was. Heather is, as I said, the marketing director at Lake Taylor, and she has a background in pharmacology and has a degree from MCV in pharmacology and medical marketing from ODU. So I think, David, you're probably going to lead off.
Yes, sir.
Let's give a welcome to David.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's always nice to be amongst friends and have a chance to meet some new friends. I see Pete Griffin in the back. When I started out with the United Way of Southampton Roads on Main Street in 1993, it wasn't unusual to find Pete on Main Street. He was next door. Good to see you again. Bill Gurmack and I end up at meetings together, accepting checks on occasion. Every year we end up at the Ocean View Ladies Women's Golf Association Tournament. That organization supports both St. Mary's, a very fine organization in our community, and Lake Taylor Transitional Care Hospital's children's programs. I can't come to this meeting without mentioning Bill Pine or Buster Brown. Bill was at Lake Taylor was at Westminster Canterbury while I was there. He was the administrator of the healthcare center. And I'll never forget, shortly after he got there, Captain Pine was working for the executive vice president. And I had the human resource director come to my office and ask me if I could help her and the EVP with Mr. Pine. Really? Sure, I'll see what I can do. So the next time I saw Bill, I asked him if he'd close the door when he came in, and Bill didn't like that a bit, as you can well imagine. And I said, you know, Bill, the human resource director has asked me if I could help them with you. And he said, is that all you got? I said, yes, sir. And he turned around and walked out. We're going to double team you today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the hospital, show you a quick video, and then I'm going to turn it over to Heather Tuder to talk about specific rehab programs at the hospital. She's got some medical history. Me, I'm just a fundraiser. One of the interesting things about coming to groups is you never know what's going to happen. About 4 years ago, I was invited to speak to the Cape Henry Rotary down on Shore Drive. And when I got done with my presentation, I took questions, and there was a gentleman in the back of the room who was asking about stroke rehab. And I answered his questions the best I could, and when we finished up, he came up and said to me, my aunt has had a tremendous stroke and is in the hospital, and the family's going to need some help. So we exchanged numbers, and a few days later, his aunt was admitted to Lake Taylor, and she came in and she was in a really bad way. Stroke is a terrible thing. But over the 3 months she was there, I was able to watch her progress, watch her family work with her, watch our therapists work with her. And over that period of time, she went from not being able to speak or do anything for herself to relearning those things that stroke had taken from her. And while she needed help when she left Lake Taylor, she was able to go home with her family. And that's what we're all about, get better and go home. I got to make a plug. I'm a fundraiser. That Rotary Club supported Lake Taylor. They bought some iPads for us. And iPads are used for stroke victims and helping to teach them to learn to speak again. That repetitive nature of that device is very assistive in that endeavor. And so we do raise a little money in support of the hospital and the patients. And we'll see 1,800 patients this year, and I've already had at least one gentleman tell me that he's had a family member there. Has anybody else? Look at there, look at there. Anybody want to share a quick comment?
Great facility.
Good for us, good for us. Peter?
It's a very welcoming and very clean and nice, and it's nice to walk down the halls and see the workout rooms, etc. Very nice. And you're right, people don't stay there long. They're up and out.
The idea is get better and go home.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
My husband had a stroke and the doctors recommended Lake Hill, and that's where.
Doesn't get any better than that.
That's right.
We treat him well?
Very well.
Good, good.
At the same time, Cece's husband, Tucker, was there. I had my mother and my father-in-law there at the same time. So one of them was one in the hall, one was the other end of the hall. And then my wife had to have a knee replacement like 5 years ago, and she was the first person in the first room when you open up the new wing. Kim Lumbaugh goes to our church, and she does a fantastic job. A lot of people in our church go to Lake Taylor Church of the Ascension in Norfolk, and do an excellent job.
Good for us. Good for us. The best way to tell you about Lake Taylor is to have you in the building. But since I can't do that this morning, I'm going to show you a quick video that gives you an overview, a little bit of history, and then I'll come back and make a couple of comments and turn it over to Heather.
Transition. Evolution. Community. Born of need. Growing through service. Evolving for over 100 years. Lake Taylor Transitional Care Hospital is a 296-bed skilled nursing rehab facility and long-term acute care hospital serving nearly 1,800 patients annually. Lake Taylor has the expertise necessary to excel in the areas of physical, occupational, and speech therapies and advanced rehabilitative care. And with over 1,000 patients receiving knee and hip rehabilitation care, Lake Taylor has also emerged as a leader for post-surgical joint replacement therapies in the region. Our 104-bed long-term acute care hospital serves complex medical patients. Most suffer from critical pulmonary disease, but many come to continue to fight the challenges of multiple life-threatening conditions. Lake Taylor offers an intensive ventilator weaning program, which focuses on critical care respiratory services for those unable to breathe on their own. Some come with brain injuries due to stroke, or following accidents, disease, surgical complications, or organ failure. Any medical event that requires long-term hospitalization for treatment. And there's also the Children's Place, a unique specialty practice where pediatric patients with similar medical issues come for care. With a 125-year history of transformation, Lake Taylor celebrates the ability to adapt and to thrive day by day, patient by patient. Today's success was built on a foundation of community, our rich history, and our commitment to assembling the region's finest network of caring medical professionals and specialists. Lake Taylor also supports the community and future of healthcare through its training partnership with the College of Health Sciences at Old Dominion University. Advances in medical care and increased health consciousness have increased life expectancy. Lake Taylor provides medical care that's both high-tech and high-touch to help meet the expectations of those health-minded individuals who believe 65 is the new 50. We blend the innovative with the tried and true, while offering personal service designed to meet those expectations. Lake Taylor celebrates its transformation from a single building, an almshouse, a hospital for the poor in 1890, serving a growing seaport city. Our evolution included the addition of the Grandee Sanatorium, created to meet the healthcare concerns of a community at risk from tuberculosis. In the 1980s, the hospital was re-established as an independent organization with an active and involved volunteer board to guide Lake Taylor into the future. Our older is getting younger, and our transitions are getting better. Lake Taylor Transitional Care Hospital, meeting the needs for generations of change, past, present, and future. Our culture is a vibrant one, full of hope, healing,
Sorry about that.
The end of the video.
from our patients, staff, administration, and board, to our network of volunteers. Together, Together, we reinforce our important place in Hampton Roads and beyond. Transition. It's in our name. It's in our process. It's the foundation of Lake Taylor's past, present, and our future. Born of need, growing through service, constantly evolving to restore strength and independence to patients for a healthy return home. The future of healthcare for a world in transition. Lake Taylor offers you a variety of ways to support its continued evolution. For information on the Lake Taylor Foundation, how to volunteer, or for other ways that you can offer your time, talent, or make a contribution, visit laketaylor.org.
There you go.
Could I say something?
Yes, ma'am, please do.
Patricia, you know, years ago, Lake Taylor had a terrible name. And I say that because so many people that I know who suffered a stroke or something like that, they were sent to Lake Taylor, and unlike what you said about get better and go home, they said that is where you go before you die. And when Mr. Orsini came, everything changed. So
Yes, ma'am.
it has a great reputation today.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And a lot of that has to do with our volunteer board. You know, until 1988, as the video stated, the hospital was a city property. And over the years, healthcare changed, but the city didn't change the way they managed the hospital. And so that's the reputation that it took on. Last fall, we had a sitting juvenile and domestic relations court judge with us after he'd taken a spill down a flight of stairs and had to have surgery to realign his cervical spine. And he told me when they told him he was coming to Lake Taylor, he thought back to his childhood. He grew up on the Norfolk Academy campus. His father was headmaster. And he said when he would ride his bike past the hospital, he'd go extra fast because people told him that's where old people went to die. 6 weeks with us, and he saw a different side of Lake Taylor. But the board that the city of Norfolk established to manage and set vision for the hospital hired Tom Orsini to come in and write the reputation of the hospital and change it from that place where people didn't want to go to a place where people would come for the rehab that they needed to get better and go home. And that's what we're all about today. And so I just want to tell you a little bit about that board. It's an 11-member board established in '88. It's chaired by Anita Poston. She will soon end her term as chair, and former president of Virginia Wesleyan College, Dr. William Greer, will take over that slot. The chairman of the foundation is a fellow Rotarian in a Norfolk club, Dr. Edward L. Lilly, who has long history in this community. It's those folks that come together once a month to set policy and vision for the hospital, to set expectation for what we do for the patients that come to see us, that made a real difference in the turnaround of that facility. Last past Wednesday, our former chairman of the hospital's foundation retired. He'd been a member of the hospital board since 2000 and a member of the foundation since 2004 and chair since 2006. Over that period of time, they calculated that he was on the governance committee, the finance committee, and a couple other committees at the hospital. He'd missed 2 meetings over that 16-year period. And I'm sure if there was a way for him to make those meetings up like Rotarians do, he would have. Because they come there to, because it's an important part of the community and because it serves them and their families as well. Our former chair of the board, Dr. Willett LaHue, recently spent 3 or 4 weeks with us after back surgery. He rehabbed and went home. He has history with us as well with his family. His father was a patient. And he recently made a gift in honor of his dad to make sure that the name is in the property from here on out. So that's what really makes us different, that Bill Germack can speak to the importance of that volunteer board, and that's what changed Lake Taylor by bringing Tom Orsini into the picture. We elected a new member to the foundation last Wednesday. His name's Don Perry. Mr. Perry's a local development and businessman, but he was asked to serve on the board because he's a former patient. And I'm not telling any stories out. I'm not breaking any HIPAA rules on this one because he's allowed me to tell the story. He came to us after mitral valve surgery in Richmond. The surgery was successful, but there was a bleed afterward. And he had infection. He had a long road to recovery. He spent time in Richmond, spent about 6 months with us. Due to that and those infections, he couldn't come downstairs to rehab, but the rehab staff went to him to make sure that he made the progress that he needed to make every day along the way, because it's one step on the other. And because of that care, now he's going to serve on the board and help us to promote the hospital. So it's that volunteer, that civic activism that makes things work, just like you folks in this room, that add to the fabric of our community. And we at Lake Taylor are proud of those folks that come to us to help us manage that hospital. Love to let Heather Tuder come up here and tell you a little bit about those rehab programs. Tom Orsini is not only a good boss, but he is he's an apt marketer, and he wouldn't want us to let this opportunity to talk to some folks who might need us in the future about the programs that we offer.
Great, thank you, David. Well, first of all, let me tell you, thank you so much for having us out here. It's been a pleasure. This is my first Rotary Club meeting, so thank you very much. What a great group.
Doesn't have to be your last.
And I hope it's not my last. As David was saying, we've come a long way, and as I've heard, we did struggle. We struggled with that reputation in the community that if you go to Lake Taylor or your physician says you're going to go to Lake Taylor or suggests you go to Lake Taylor, we would get deer in the headlight look. We knew when the patients had a deer in a headlight look, we needed to get them in the building because we needed them to see the changes that Lake Taylor has made over the years. Took us about 13 years to really start changing the minds of the community. And that was with a lot of marketing and getting people in the building to tour. But most of all, it was getting the physicians to come on board and have an active part in the change of Lake Taylor and to get them on board. And we did that. We say Lake Taylor is probably one of the best kept secrets of Norfolk. And I think that holds true for Norfolk, but also Virginia Beach, because we offer several levels of care. We offer the SNF, the skilled side, which is where most people come if they've had a stroke and are rehabbing fairly quickly. If they've had some back surgery, knee surgery, hip surgery, we'll put them on the SNF level of care. If they need a little bit more acute care, but still in a subacute setting, coming over from one of the acute care hospitals, we may put them on what we call our LTAC, our long-term care unit. And the only other long-term care unit in this area is over at Norfolk General. So we're very excited about that as well, because we can really partner with some of the other hospitals to make sure that we're taking care of all the needs in the community. And then on the other side of the house, we have long-term care. So we have 2 long-term care units. So a patient can come to us for very different reasons and get the care that they need. And there is no other institution in this area that offers those different levels of medical care. So we are very excited about that. But getting back to the deer in the headlight look, it's come a long, long ways. And I would invite all of you, if you ever get an opportunity to come over, we'd love to give you a tour of the facility, show you a little bit about what we've done. We recently finished a $25 million renovation, so the entire hospital has been renovated from top to bottom. And that's been very exciting for those of you that have had family members or friends that have come over. I think you'll notice that it's really changed a lot. One of the big programs that we have that has really, really grown over the years is the orthopedic program. When we started the program about 11 years ago, on average, on a good month, we would see probably 12 orthopedic patients a month. We are now seeing over 100 patients a month. And that's just our orthopedic. That's just hips, knees, and some backs. So that doesn't even account for the strokes that we see, or the heart patients that we see from the heart hospital, or some of the other acute care facilities in the area. So we are seeing quite a few patients in the community. We also have the state contract, so we see ventilator patients as well. So they will go up to our more acute level of care, but we do see ventilator patients. So we'll get ventilator patients from really across the country. So like I said, we're Norfolk's best kept secret. I think Virginia Beach's best kept secret. We had the physicians really play a big part of that. The physicians came over when we were breaking ground and gave us a lot of input on what things they wanted to see, what they wanted their patients to have, the type of care, the type of equipment, how big the room should be. We really got the physicians' buy-in, and we really got their opinion of, okay, here's what we've got, this is what we want to do. You all give us input, and we have built it primarily with a lot of their input. I'll take any questions that you all have about Lake Taylor. Invite everybody over, and we'd love to have you come tour the facility. I think once you come in and see it, it'll answer a lot of your questions that maybe you've had in the past. But there's a lot of people out there. You know, we're seeing so many people a month. There's a lot of people out there. Probably everybody knows somebody at some point that's been touched by Lake Taylor. Yes, sir.
You said earlier that it was run by the city of Norfolk. Does the city of Norfolk still own that facility, or?
You want to?
No, sir. In 1998, they created the Norfolk Hospital Authority. It's set up just the same way Chesapeake Regional Medical Center is set up, and the same way the Eastern Virginia Medical is set up. We are a quasi-governmental entity, but the city plays no role in our finances, our programs, or anything we do. Peter.
David, we know Centera, and they're all over the place, and Bon Secours has a number of units. Is Lake Taylor independent by itself, or are you associated with any other group?
We are independent by ourselves. We work very closely with the surrounding healthcare facilities. Members of our board serve on what's referred to as a medical liaison committee to ensure that the transfers back and forth from those other facilities works well, that we're meeting their needs and they're meeting our needs, but we are a standalone entity.
We do share a lot of patient care. I do sit on some outside committees with some of the other hospitals to make sure that that continuity of care goes from one hospital to the next. So I go to monthly meetings. Kim Limbaugh also goes to monthly meetings where we are sharing information so that we can have smooth transitions for our patients from one entity to another, because we do stand alone.
John?
What is meant by ventilator care?
Anybody who has been ventilated,
Machine-assisted breathing.
assisted for breathing. So
Is that an ongoing thing and
that
continuous?
is an ongoing thing unless at some point they can be weaned. I will tell you that Lake Taylor has one of the highest weaning rates in the country, which is why we see a lot of patients from all over the country, and because we have the military here. We share a lot of patients with Portsmouth Naval. So.
Chester?
Heather and David, thank you, because before you came, David, Greg mentioned, and we talked about our bowl-a-thon this morning, which is our major fundraiser. We've been doing it over 30 years, 20 years. And, we support 10 different charities, but y'all have been a contributor. Your banner has hung at the bowling alley in the past, so we thank you, and we thank you for being such a tremendous asset in the community.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for supporting us.
Shannon?
Well, I just think I think Ken Scott was over there.
He was.
His recovery, right.
He was.
I remember.
I'm not allowed to say it for HIPAA rules,
Yes,
but you broke the rule.
regulations.
No, Bob Baker was there for
Do
a
y'all
while.
get involved in pediatric or kids at all?
Yes, sir. As
Yes,
part of the
we
video
do.
you might, that we didn't see, we have a pediatric unit for those children who need ventilation. The children at Lake Taylor aren't much different from the folks the children you might see at St. Mary's, other than they require ventilation. There was a scene in the video of a young boy in a specially designed rehab room that we've recently created for those kids.
Thank you.
Jim? Oh, DJ?
I would like to commend the Taylor, because the last time I was there, that was late last year. So I went there for something else, but when I got there, I was confused in a very good manner. I felt I was in an IT environment. I forgot totally that it's a transition, because it's all computerized. It's all IT. It's a good job, because the question that I was going to ask, it was all over the screen.
Yes.
You can even touch what you want.
Yes, we have touch screens throughout
So
the
I was
hall.
like, oh my God.
Don?
What
Oh,
are,
I'm sorry. Jim?
other than funding, give me two of your top concerns that's causing you the greatest problem, the greatest loss of sleep.
Two concerns. Well, healthcare is changing, and it's changing very rapidly. Keeping up with the changes is always a challenge. As you all probably know, as consumers of healthcare, it's changing. Things are changing very, very rapidly. So the challenge will be to stay up with the changes. As Medicare changes throughout the United States and our healthcare system changes, the challenge will be to stay ahead of and be innovative. We're going to have to stay innovative and be innovative thinkers.
Next big electronic thing is electronic medical records for us.
Last question, Don.
Yeah, and this is kind of somewhat of a generic question, it's not meant to be political, but a number of years ago, I fell off a boat and broke my arm and was taken to an emergency room. And I had to wait in line where kids had sniffles and things like that. And with the implication of Obamacare, are you seeing where emergency rooms are becoming more emergency care facilities as opposed to primary care for those folks who don't have insurance?
They're trying, and you'll see that with CHKD actually right now, who, if you look around the community, they are trying to take the burden off of the amount of patients that are going through the ER down in Norfolk and put satellite offices throughout the communities to help. Yes, to help with the burden of those emergency rooms. The emergency rooms in the acute cares, the Sentara Lees and all the Sentara hospitals, are also trying to do that with fast tracks. So they're trying to do a better job at evaluating the patients when they first come in and triaging them so that we can get the truly ER patients right back, and the sniffles and those types of things go through another system so that doesn't back up.
But you're still seeing emergency rooms being used as a primary care.
Yeah, and I honestly think it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for that change, but I do see it is changing. We have to change it. We have to change it because of reimbursement. We have to change it because healthcare is changing. It's just one of those things that is going to take some time. It's going to take some, it took time to get there. It's going to take time to change it.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Any other questions?
Heather, thank you so
It was a
much.
pleasure. Thank you.
David, thank you so very much, and please accept that as our thanks for, and I have, Camille, I have taken a little bit of initiative with David and suggested maybe it would be possible for us to have a 7:30 breakfast at Lake Taylor.
We'd be happy to host you.
Yes.
And I know this club likes to go out and do those kinds of things, so Camille,
Yeah, just.
25 miles per
one of these two, and let's make it happen.
Works for me, I can walk to work.
There you go. There you go. It was nice meeting all of you.
Now,
Thank
you
you so
got
much.
one last responsibility. This is very important
Oh.
because we're talking about my pay.
Your paycheck, that's right. Okay.
Pick a number and read last three numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, I got that.
I hope it's the big jackpot for you. Okay. 6, 9.
That's the wrong one.
698. Is that you?
Put that right on top, didn't you?
Be a gift to the world. This meeting is adjourned.